Hi, I'm Phil,
And I'm Shayne.
and this is episode 24 of My Tech Opinion. On this episode, we're talking to Glenn Goodman from Aussie Tech Heads on small business, podcasting, and all the good stuff like that. So let's get the show going right now. Welcome to My Tech Opinion, episode number 24. My name is Phil Edwards, and I'm in Melbourne, and I'm joined by my regular co-host in Perth, Shayne Johnston. G'day, Shayne. How are you?
Hey, Phil. How you doing?
Good. For those people who haven't listened to My Tech Opinion before, My Tech Opinion is a show that talks about some stuff in the latest tech news, but we also have a feature topic that we look at every episode. And it won't always just be us. We'll often have a guest joining us, and this episode is one of those episodes. Joining us in our feature topic today, we'll have Glenn Goodman, and we're going to talk all things running your own small business in terms of IT support and web hosting, as well as Glenn's pursuits in the world of podcasting and video casting as well. So that conversation with Glenn is coming up shortly on My Tech Opinion. Weirdly enough, Glenn is also a sponsor, athwebhosting.com.au, for great hosting plans and support. Visit Aussie Tech Heads Web Hosting and they can get you set up, and a little bit of an exciting venture coming there from Glenn, which he'll talk about during the feature topic as well. So there you go, formalities out of the way. How are you going, Shayne?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I just realised that we all kind of interlinked. It's a bit of, this episode's a little bit of a nepotism episode.
I know. We need to have a window going on in the middle, and it be like of a video of a previous episode, and it can be all very Inception-y sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, what's been happening since our last show?
Since our last chat, don't know where we got to in the health front, but I think that is no longer going to be a topic of conversation.
Yes, you said that.
Yeah,
you said that.
I'm healthy for now. And the only other thing that's happening work-wise was, I think I also touched on this as well, where I said that the team leader had left.
Yes.
They advertised the position on Thursday, and the application is closed tomorrow, so it's a quick kind of 4-day turnaround.
Wow.
And they've only advertised them internally for now, so luckily, because I had gone for the job previously, before the previous guy joined, I just got that as a starting point and then just kind of rehashed that and all that kind of stuff, so I didn't have to start from scratch. So
awesome.
I basically kind of submitted that late last night. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. But other than that, no, I haven't done any more. I know on the last episode we did the Raspberry Pi thing, and I said I'm going to buy Raspberry Pi. It's, it's my next lot of Amazon shopping, but with the job interview and all that kind of stuff, or the job application, it just hasn't happened. So now that, for those who don't realise, we normally record on a Sunday, and it's usually in the afternoon. This episode, for timing wise, we've done it on a Saturday morning. The last time I think I was up this early on a Saturday morning was when I was a kid watching cartoons. So it's been a while. But that'll give me the rest of the day to do things like Amazon shopping and tidy some stuff up in relation to the podcast and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. No, that's good. And I haven't done a lot myself. I have. I think we mentioned on our last episode that I blew up a mixing panel for the radio station. So I got the new one. I've installed it. I think I've got it going. I might have to go and buy another cable this afternoon, but other than that, all good. And now I'm looking at it going, all right, now when the football season's finished, I've got to pull, because I forgot how many cables are packed in a weird thing inside it. Yep. So now when the football season's over, I'm going to have to deconstruct the whole box and reconstruct it in some semblance of order, because it's a mess inside. It's like, when you watched Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones was in the pit and there was just snakes surrounding him. You know how many snakes were there. That's what the back of this unit is like.
Question, because I know that you said that you're the president of the radio station and you've been involved for X many years and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And I understand that that would involve a lot of top level stuff like writing general annual reports and grants and all this
Yep.
kind of stuff. But how can you get your hands dirty with all the that stuff you just covered? Haven't you got minions to do that?
We have a tech team. The in studio broadcast level stuff, I don't touch.
Oh, okay.
So I look after. Me and a couple of other people do the IT side of our studio things, but in terms of our broadcast studio wise, they look after. In terms of our outside broadcast, I'm usually the one that takes it out and sets it up on site. So that's why I like to put that together, because then I know exactly how it works. And if something goes crap, I can fix it.
Yep.
Because a lot of the time, most chances are that if it goes to crap, it's not going to go to crap when you're testing it. It's going to go to crap when you're out at a football ground somewhere and you've got a roll of tape and 3 batteries and you need to put something together based on that.
Yeah, and it's a game that ends up in a draw and goes into extra time.
Yeah. But I wasn't even at the game for that one. So, because it's the first hardware failure we've had at an outside broadcast in 10 years, 11 seasons. Anyway. What's been happening in the news? Amazon hits $1 trillion value, hot off the heels of Apple getting to the $1 trillion mark. Amazon clicked over the line recently as well. Obviously, it's all paper value. The only way that you actually would see that money is when someone decides to actually cash out on that. And if someone like Jeff Bezos went, I'm done with Amazon, I'm selling all of my shares, I reckon the share price would actually drop. So, it's one of those issues. The other thing that's interesting with Amazon as well is that there which I'm surprised it's taken 8 months for it to happen, but there's been articles in the paper about workplace conditions at the Australian distribution centres or fulfilment centres this week, saying that people, they walk up to 20 Ks a shift.
Wow, I thought it would be all bloody robots and stuff.
I thought it was too, but maybe that they haven't got to that point on the Australian side of it yet. Okay. So, it's very interesting. And that Amazon, any of the staff who are actually doing the picking, Amazon don't actually hire. It's done through a labour hire firm. Oh,
right.
So, very interesting indeed.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting to see how well that goes long term. In how sustainable that is. Australian labour market is very different to the US labour market too. So
yeah, I hear that it either has opened or it's pretty close to opening the second distribution.
I think it has actually kicked in.
Okay.
So
I heard that it was like 4 times the size of the Melbourne one. Must be huge.
Yeah, I think the Melbourne one was 24,000 square meters. This one, this one's double or almost triple.
Okay.
So yeah. And I reckon that the Melbourne one will only be a relatively short-lived one, and they'll have a big one in Melbourne at some point too.
All right.
So as they continue to grow, they'll continue to make it, get bigger. What else was there? Elon Musk. This came on the wires overnight. Was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Sat there for a rambling 2 hours, so it must be like a My Tech Opinion show. But was smoking weed live on the podcast, and everyone is losing their frigging mind,
including him,
over it.
Apparently, that's a regular thing on that particular podcast.
The content of the podcast is not the issue; it's the person that did it. It's the problem. And when you're in it says, throw in the whiskey and joint, and by the end we're deep into something approximising a televised therapy session and one of those deep in the night college debates that are for most of us mercilessly hazy memory. I think Elon Musk said, Earth is a giant ball of lava with a thin crust on the top, which we think of as like the surface. Sounds like something I just made at a poke of fun, but it was actually said by the man running a $48 billion enterprise, US $48 billion enterprise deemed many to be seriously undervalued. So there you go.
Undervalued.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But, we'll see what happens. Tesla's starting to get their crap together. But, it's not a good public look for a publicly listed company. I think Elon Elon needs to be very careful.
Well, apparently the shares took a hit. He reckons his response to that was, "I know the shares took a hit because of 2 execs leaving or something."
Yeah, but they fluctuate. You know, the Amazon and Apple $1 trillion valuation. Well, they do make a lot of money, and they're possibly worth it. It's all about the name as well.
Yep.
So So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that as we go forward. The other thing was that British Airways was hacked. Up to 400,000 customers' credit card information was stolen out of their servers, and it was open for about 2 weeks. And so 380,000 British Airways travellers during a 2-week data breach that left customers vulnerable to financial fraud. That's not good. So yes.
So 2 interesting things out of that, because that happened. That breach was only like a week or so ago.
Yes.
So, because normally when you hear about breaches, it's like, Yahoo, for argument's sake, they're always getting breached. Yahoo got breached back in 2016 or 2015. It's unusual for us to hear about a breach so quickly.
Yeah, and look, that's to the credit of British Airways. I mean, they've got onto it fairly quickly. I think credit card, it wasn't just personal identifying information, it was credit card data. They've said that no passport data was obtained in what they called a very sophisticated, malicious and criminal attack. And the British Airways is 100% committed to compensating customers. So, the great thing is that British Airways have gone, okay, we're going to play completely on the front foot on this. And we'll just go, yep, it's happened. We know what happened. We know we've stopped it, and we're going to support our clients through this because it's a massive risk to reputation.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how far they go to reimbursing customers, because obviously, if worst case scenario, all the what did you say, 380,000?
380,000.
Yeah, so 380,000 credit cards. If the bad guys bought, I don't know, 380,000 Mercedes Benz on credit cards, if you can do that even.
Yeah.
British Airways ain't going to foot the bill for that.
No, and look, they're basically we don't know what the compensation is, but we'll, I think that it could be one of those things that the banks will be responsible for the fraudulent charges, but British Airways might compensate for the cost in time to the individual. Look, who knows? Well, this is fairly new type thing. So this is as we're recording, this was announced about 7 hours ago. So we'll have to keep a record of it, keep a note of what's happening on there. The thing that's important is that airlines are increasingly with technology wanting customers to book flights directly through the airline, and because they get a bigger cut of the fare to do that, and this hampers that process a little bit.
Yeah, and not because when I used to work for Telstra, in one of its iterations, it briefly got outsourced to a company called Avantra, and one of the customers that we looked after from an IT perspective was Qantas. And so I'm going back, probably going back a fair while now. Geez, I'm old. So mid 2000s, for the not the ticketing, but the bit where you actually go through the gate and they check your boarding pass and all that kind of stuff. That was run by I think it was run on a 386 in a lot of the cases.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Would not surprise me.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, look! It happens everywhere. Even in, I don't know if it's improved, but there was one point there that to fix signalling systems in the London Underground, they were buying parts off eBay because it's the only place they could get them for their IT systems.
Oh, right, that was that
second-hand machines. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on what's happening in that. And the final thing we'll talk about in our little chat is that in this week after we're recording, the iPhone and Apple Watch event is due. Well, iPhone definitely. We're assuming Apple Watch is launching. You've asked the question, Shayne. Do we care?
As an Android person, not really.
I do, because I'm ready to upgrade. Look, it'll be interesting to see you know, eh, look, being bluntly honest, it'll be interesting to see either A, what Apple has copied and will try and do better than someone else. Alternatively, what new functionality that they bring into the space.
Yep.
Because they might have copied something that they will do better, and then someone else will copy that as a result that probably had it before, but will take on the Apple type thing. In terms of the Apple Watch, I think that the screen size will increase, be a bit more edge to edge, but I'm thinking of updating my Apple Watch, but the only reason that I would do it is because the new software isn't supported on the version of the watch I've got anyway. So we'll see how we go.
Yep.
We'll see how much money my credit card is prepared to regurgitate when this happens. So yeah, fun and games. But yeah, look, we talked about what we think it's going to be, the iPhone XS. What it actually means, we don't know. We'll find out Thursday this week on the 13th.
Oh, that's right, because they're not doing it.
Wednesday. They're not doing it on Tuesday because it's September 11th. So they were doing it on Wednesday, September 12th, which in Australia will be the morning of Thursday, the 13th.
September 13th.
So yeah.
So
there's been a couple of leaks, but not a lot since.
So do you reckon they were like leaks as in were they orchestrated by Apple, do you think?
Probably. The leak that came out seemed to be, if it's legitimate, it seems to be an actual mistake. The leaks that I think Apple generate usually are a bit more obtuse than what they've done in this case. This was a bit more overt, so I think someone's accidentally sent out some images from an electronic press kit. They look too good, photos and things like that. So look, it will be interesting to see. I think it'll be a streamlining of the Apple product line, but who knows? Who knows? We'll find out the hard way.
Do you think we'll actually hear from Johnny Ive? Is Johnny Ive still alive? And the rhyme was accidental then?
Not short-circuiting it. Yeah, he's around. He's the head of... he sort of got promoted though. So he was head of design. He's now head of user experience, I think it is. So he takes into account, he has control over elements of the software design. I think he's sort of grown quite, like he's sort of gone further on in the business and sort of has that overarching thing. But it depends. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that whatever they announce will be iterative design, so we probably won't hear from him. Mm-hmm. But if it was a brand new design, we probably would.
He usually does the voiceover for the video, though, doesn't he?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on what angle they're taking.
Okay.
We know that Phil Schiller will get up on stage and probably sweat through some weird short sleeve shirt that he's got, and that Tim Cook will just be Tim Cook.
Yeah. And that guy, I can't think of his name now. He's got a cult following, Craig Federighi. He's more...
I call him Craig Ferengi.
But he doesn't usually show up for these ones. He's more kind of the Mac side of things, isn't he?
Yeah, they may touch on OS 10 because they're due to have the OS 10 Mojave, I think it is. Is it Mojave?
Yeah.
Because I think I'm on High Sierra now. Yeah, so Mojave's due to drop in a couple of weeks anyway, so they may have a bit of touch on that, even though it'll focus on iPhone.
Yep.
So yeah, look, we'll know more at the end of the week of what it all means, and what new features and whether it's revolutionary, evolutionary, derogatory. Lots of Y's at the end of words.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there you go. So I care, you don't. That's the short answer.
I'm obviously obligated to have an awareness, but I mean, if it all goes pear-shaped, actually, if it all goes pear-shaped, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it will. Apple are even if it goes pear-shaped after the device is released, their events are very well managed.
Mm. Yeah.
And I don't think you appreciate how well they're managed until you watch Elon Musk stutter through one of his events or, things like that. So it's you sort of get used to the Apple tightness of everything. So
Still, Tim Cook doesn't seem to have the charisma of Steve Jobs.
no, not at all, not at all. But if you also notice that he knows that, and where Steve Jobs would go through a lot of product demos, Tim Cook doesn't go through the level of product demos that Steve Jobs did.
Yeah, he offloads.
Yeah. So there's a tacit acknowledgement of that there. Tim Cook is a great business leader and will keep the business in tight, but the creative aspects of that he pushes out to other parts of the business. So there you go. There you go. There's our chat. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back in a moment with our feature topic. We'll be talking to Glenn Goodman from Aussie Tech Heads right after this on My Tech Opinion. And welcome back to My Tech Opinion. It's now time for our feature topic, and we've got our guest joining us, Shayne, and from Aussie Tech Heads. Welcome, Glenn Goodman. G'day, Glenn. Thanks for joining us.
G'day, Phil. G'day, Shayne. How you going?
Hey,
Great. And thanks for being part of the show. Obviously, a lot of people would know you from the Aussie Tech Heads podcast that you are the chief wrangler and organizer for. So thanks for popping over to our side of the screen as well. So we appreciate it.
No problems at all. I've been watching your podcast grow from strength to strength each week or each episode, so it's been good.
We hope so. We're getting there. You know, if I learn to shut up, it might even get better. So you never know.
I don't know. You got to talk. It's a podcast. It's all
true. Very true. Very true.
So you're the audience member we have.
That's right. The live one. Do you guys do live or you just do records?
We do records. We record because we need to. We don't have a consistent time on things.
Right. And you do all the editing, Phil. Is this right?
Yes, I do a bit of editing on it and take out all my mistakes and occasionally leave one or two in. So
right.
We get there slowly.
Speaking of mistakes, that video I did for you for your 600th episode, that was like take number 22 or something.
Oh, right. Oh, thanks for doing that, by the way. It was.
But this is the thing. Before we get underway, I reckon that it's actually easier to do it live than it is, because obviously I do radio as well. And when you're doing it live, it's like, well, I stuffed up, but I have to keep going because it's going live to air. Whereas record, you sort of go in your head, you turn around and go, no, I can do that again. So you stop and then you keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Yes. Whereas if it was live, you would have done it fine the first time. So
yes, the only time I think I restart mine or the Aussie Tech Heads is right at the start. I might start to introduce everything and someone will cough or something. And I go, well, we've only just started. Let's redo that part.
Yeah, exactly. Now, before we've got some questions for you, and weirdly enough, I'm going to go in reverse order because we're talking about Aussie Tech Heads. Yeah. Tell us, for those who, weirdly enough, this is unlikely, but for those who have stumbled onto this podcast, but then they haven't listened to Aussie Tech Heads, tell us, you've hit 600 episodes. Tell us about how that, the genesis of that, and you've gone to 600 now. Tell us a bit more about Aussie Tech Heads.
Yeah, so I guess back in 2006, started watching on Foxtel a show called Call to Help with Leo Laporte and his little gang. And yeah, I got quite into that and I thought it was very beneficial. And as that show progressed, I progressed to his podcast. And then I just sort of got sick and tired of, well, maybe not sick and tired, but, it was always hearing about, AT&T and whatever else, all the American terminologies and businesses. And I thought, I really want to hear something about Telstra. I want to hear something about Optus. I want to hear about what's going on in Australia. And so I got together with Mark and we thought we'd try and do a podcast. And so we started in the garage, like many places start these days. I was just reading through the week that Jeff Bezos started his Amazon in the garage, which blew me away as well. So as the garages are the place to go. Started in the garage, just recording each week when we could. It was through the day, audio only, because back then it was like before iPhones even. I remember when the iPhone came out, we did an episode. We sent one guy, Chris, that's when the Apple store opened in Sydney. But yeah, it was just before the iPhone. It's just amazing that you think the iPhone's been around for years and years and years, but it hasn't. Our podcast has been around longer. Money, but yeah.
I know it's amazing. Speaking of doing things in garages, this was a fact that I saw. I have to mention it because I'm like, it's mind blowing. Jeff Bezos's parents invested $245,000 in Amazon in 1995.
Wow.
And if they maintain that stake, it's now worth $30 billion. So
Oh no! Well, that
that's not bad for that garage business, is it?
no. Well, the company through the week was supposed to be hitting $1 trillion in value. So it's just mind blowing.
I know. It's unbelievable. So you've gone into that, and then you've got your own business as well. Did you have that before you were doing the podcast, or is it sort of happened at the same time? You know, because you've got Aussie Tech Heads web hosting as well, and then you've got obviously an IT services business. Was it all together, or did one follow the other, or how did all that happen?
Well, I guess like from an early age, interested in computers, and through like say an employment career, then just doing computers and repairs and sort of thing on the side. And I think Aussie Tech Heads come along in 2006. Sort of had part-time repair business going. Then 2012ish, decided to chuck in the PAYG job.
Yeah,
move into something where I could control, or hopefully control, my own destiny. Things that went through my mind at that stage were things like, why do I want to work for the same amount of money each week? Like I'd like to be able to have potentially say an unlimited ceiling. That hasn't happened. Probably better off being at work financially, but yes. And then I thought, well, I want to branch out into the hosting and all that, and it sort of just evolved over time. Whereas now I've decided I want to pull back a bit on a few of those things because I think I diversified a bit too much, and I'm just pulling back now just to focus purely on web hosting and maybe some websites here and there.
Cool. That's good. And web hosting's it's a pretty it's a very comfort from your own home type scenario, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's right. And I think I'm just going through it like an actual rebranding. This is the first time I probably spoke about it, but I'm going to rebrand the Aussie Tech Heads model, so to speak, and go to something called rename it to Blue Ocean Web Hosting.
I was wondering where that name came from.
Yeah, so that's going to be the main one, and it's you've got to move out of your comfort zone, and I'm trying to move out of my comfort zone, get out of the house, and with the Blue Ocean, I'm going to start pretty locally and just get my face in front of other faces and offer probably business grade hosting. Aussie Tech Heads web hosting will stay because there's a lot of people on that, but I want to start doing more in the other direction.
Cool. So that's awesome. So here's another question that Shayne has posed. Looking at web hosting, you're moving into Blue Ocean as, I suppose, a business grade type service.
Yes.
But you also do web design, and you've done podcasting under the Aussie Tech Heads web banner. Is that just, consistency, why under the one banner, or just brand recognition?
Yeah, I think probably more brand recognition. Like I was doing the podcast, and that was a vehicle to try and self promote, I guess. And it's worked okay. But I think because it's relatively cheap, it's relatively competitive, and I wanted to offer more services. I found that I was offering, say, a lot of services for the low end price, if you call it that. And then I thought, well, I need to be able to, to survive and not go back to a job. I need to do something else, and that is to try and just solidify or concentrate on one main area. I want to let the PC repairs go, mainly because you can only fix so many computers a day. So if you can fix, say, 4 or 5 a day, because I'm a remote person, so I'll go out to people's houses, that limits your income, because you can only do so many a day. With web hosting, hopefully, I can go and see a few people a day and just start building up a good client base that I can service.
Do you think that in the web hosting space that we've seen some consolidation of, I suppose, some of the bigger players? Melbourne IT bought a couple of years ago Uber, global
Yeah,
and
that's
things
right.
like that. Do you think that that opens up a position in the market for that mid-tier product?
Yeah, look, I've gone through and seen all the big players. I've done a bit of a research, on the guys that are out there, and Melbourne IT, I guess they sort of a bit high end with their pricing
Yeah.
anyway, and then you get the other mobs like the Ventures and the GoDaddies, I guess they're sort of more to the lower end. I think I want what I'm trying to evolve into is more of a personalised service. I think.
Yep.
But yeah, consolidation's out there. Like it's every 5 seconds you see, oh, this Venture has bought out the little guy down the street, or whatever. I think Venture IP and Service Australia merged somehow. All these people are merging and buying out, and there's just always a lot of movement. I guess it's can only be healthy, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, looking at, there was an interesting document that I read during the week, which was from the ISP that at least Shayne and I use, which is Aussie Broadband, and they are just going nuts in the space. And, things like the thing that scared me was that they're the fifth biggest NBN provider in Australia, yet they only have 1% of the market. But with Vodafone and TPG merging and Telstra and Optus, that there's really a position in there for a next tier down to really flourish in that sort of environment, because once again, as you're saying, the personal service, taking the different approach, people are prepared to actually pay money if you give them what they're actually asking for.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't know if you guys get the same thoughts that go through your heads, but it seems that every time I ring up a service provider, not just say ISP or whatever, but I mean anything, any service at all, you just get people that maybe can I use the word uneducated? That it's just not a professional experience.
I mean, Ed, look, to be honest, I worked for how's the nicest way to put it? I was many years ago, so over 16 years ago, in the dial-up days, but I was a tech support person for a company. Put it this way: I was a small fish in a big pond, and they were moving away from having that personalized service and to cut prices down. It was all scripted. Stuff that to try and get stuff happening really quickly. And the thing is that it people annoys people when they don't get that. And I sound like a total evangelist for my ISP, but the one thing, and they're not paying me, I can tell you that. But the one thing I was impressed about was that when I was going through my NBN setup, which once it's been connected, it's been perfect, but getting it connected took a couple of weeks. And they, I spoke to someone at 11 o'clock on a Monday night, and at 3 o'clock the next afternoon, the same person rang me back and goes, "I spoke to you yesterday, just wanted to see how it's going."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hang on, what?
Am I still asleep?
Wow. That is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and that's the type of thing that I want to try and offer anyway. Just the better, because I had an issue yesterday just with electricity. I got a letter saying they couldn't read the meter and to contact them, so I contacted them, and it turned out they could read 2 meters but not the third. I go, well, hang on, could you get into the place or not? You've read 2 and not the third, and they couldn't answer the question. He goes, I've never seen this before. I said, well, do you want to look into it? And it's like, oh, it's 4:30. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. I said, can you ring me back? Oh, we can't do that.
yeah.
And so anyway, I said, don't worry about it. So I rang Energex, and they still don't. Yeah, it was just a lot of time wasting that I get upset about in my life.
Yeah, but time, look, going back to the small business thing, time is money.
That's right.
It's a discussion that I was having with my mother-in-law the other night. I was saying, well, she's retired. She can spend the time to go down to the shops and look around the supermarket for 2 hours to find that special on tomatoes.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, if I actually put my time into dollars per hour, me spending 2 hours looking for 50 cents off tomatoes is $50.
That's right. That's right. And
So,
it's like your grandparents or whatever. They'll drive from here at 20 miles away to get 3 cents off petrol.
Yeah.
Something like that. It just doesn't make sense. But they got the time.
absolutely.
And I think these days, I guess a lot of other people, I'd rather pay a little bit more if I could get a decent service. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shayne, did you want to chime in?
I do. A couple of questions that were going through my head when you were talking, especially when you sort of were saying about letting the PC repair business go. Although, I mean, my first thought was, well, surely you make more money from that, but I'm guessing that they're kind of one-off hits, whereas doing the hosting thing, even though you're still going to concentrate probably on the same size market around the Gold Coast area and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be a regular monthly income. So it's something you can kind of budget around and all that kind of thing. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yes, and I think that's where most places are trying to go these days. Like you look at the Microsoft, it's all subscription model. I look at a lot of other big pieces of software that I use. It's all changing from purchase once to just subscription models. Even with Wirecast that I used to record the video on our show, it was like a $600 purchase, but now it's moving into a subscription model. And I think that that's a fair assumption. That's where I want to get to, because you can only do so many computers a day. But if I can move and create a great client base, I can manage a lot more people, and hopefully the plan is that will generate a living wage for me.
Okay.
Time.
And then the other question that I had, kind of circling back around the time where you made the decision to leave your regular job, because from what I know of you, I know that you used to work for one of the big four banks, and you used to work for another government department. So you left kind of stable employment environments, and I know you've also got a family. Can you tell us a bit about the kind of conversations that or other considerations you had to factor in when you made that decision? Obviously, you had to have a chat with your wife and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think when I left the bank, it was just me, so that was an easier decision. I think I was with the bank for about 10, 11 years, something like that. I just felt I had gone as far as I wanted to go. They were going in a direction where it was just, you know how these places get top-heavy management, and you get frustrated, and so I didn't like it. So instead of just wallowing in a job I didn't like for the next 30 years, I just thought, well, I'm going to leave and do something else. So then I went and worked for the government, and another 10, 11, 12 years went by, and I just, instead of sitting there for another 20 years wallowing in a job I didn't like, then at that time I had a family. I had to talk to Kim and just say, I really don't like where I am at the minute, and what do you think about me trying to do this? And so she was all for it, which was good. And that's how that came around. And I think at certain times, I think if you get sick of where you are and what you're doing, you've got to give it away for your own sanity and your own health. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I've always had a bit of want my own business thing built into me. Like, I started businesses when I was a kid, like just trying to get things done, and just try and make your own way in life. And I guess once that I think when I left I worked for Centrelink. So when I left Centrelink, I think how old was I? I must have been about 40. And I thought, well, I've got to give this a shot. I've got to get into my own thing and give it a red hot shot, because I want to make it succeed, and I don't want to be beaten, getting told what to do every second of the day. It was really annoying me.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah, but look, it went smoothly, and so look, the hardest thing about leaving a paid job was obviously the money.
Yep.
That was the hardest thing. You probably look back and think, well, I still like that $80,000 a year or whatever it was. But you got to go do the hard yards, and hopefully there's a pot of gold at the end of the tunnel.
You don't want to die wondering.
Exactly. You don't want to get on your deathbed and have regrets. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Trust me. That's why I haven't taken the leap, though. I'm still working for the government in my real world, so it's all fun and games.
Yeah. I think you got to. I think one of because you guys just pre-posted me some questions, and I thought I had a quick look through them. And one of them was about how do I sort of get my name or get my business name out there, or how would I do things differently? I think I sort of kept to myself since I started. So it's just me, in my own little bubble, just doing my own little thing. I think if I was to do something differently, I've just joined up a business networking group.
Yep.
And that's one of the best things I've ever done. Like, I've got out of my little bubble and I've got out to meet different people from different businesses. And you just got to get your face in front of other faces. And then that just helps things grow. It's amazing. It just helps things grow. And the group that I'm in is quite supporting. So, we go there and learn, we inspire each other, and we help each other grow. So that's what I would do different. Yeah, if I was to start again, is just join a group and get out there.
So do that
Awesome.
earlier on in the process, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And because this is what's really spurred on the rebranding and so forth. Like, we've got a marketer in the group, and, he's gave it a few speeches. I've had a bit of a chat to him, and he's gone there, well, I said, what do you think of this, my brand and everything? He just said, I think the Aussie Tech Heads for web hosting, it's too small. It doesn't sound big enough. He said it probably puts people off. They think it's probably just for tech heads, so the mum and pop who owns the, hardware store, they go, well, tech heads, that sounds too complicated. So, he sort of ran through a couple of these things, and I went, he's probably right. And that's why going through the rebranding, and if I had known that, well, I wouldn't be rebranding today.
Yeah.
I would have done it 6 years ago. But anyway, that's how it works. You got to get out there and meet people, talk to people, and that's what I would do different. Yeah, get out of the house.
Fair enough.
Mm.
So you've also touched on a couple of other questions in relation to the challenges you face. So you've kind of covered that. Are there any, to ask that question specifically, what other challenges have you kind of faced along the way where you thought, gee, this is harder than I thought?
I think it's just learning, like with everything and with computers and whatnot, you just cannot know it all.
Yeah.
Like, you just cannot know it all. And every day we'll throw up a different challenge. And, and thankfully we've got Google now, and sometimes you can work it out yourself just by Googling for 3 or 4 hours. But otherwise I rely on people that I've met through the podcasting, like you, Shayne. Like, I remember the time you helped me install a Windows server, like recently Jordan on the Aussie Tech Heads podcast, he helped me install like a platform on a virtual server that would host other websites, but it was a what do you call those? A free one, a Creative Commons one, or whatever you call it, and it wasn't a paid for one. I just wanted something installed that would work just for one website without having to pay license fees for the cPanel version of it. So he helped me do that. I think
open source, I think, is the word you're trying to find.
Open source, that's the one I'm looking for. Michael from the Aussie Mac Zone, he's helped me fix a couple of Apple machines, and I've given work down to him. It's just networking. It's not, people try to tell you it's what you know, it's not who you know. It's not right. It's who you know. Yeah. That's how you get through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I totally believe that, But yeah, I think learning is the biggest thing. And you're a one-man band, so you're the boss of sales, you're the boss of marketing, you're the boss of accounts, you're the boss of education, learning and development. You're everything. And so come Baz time, that's a day out of your life because you got to do your Baz. Just learning, you're it. Being a sole proprietor, you're it.
So that leads nicely into one of the other questions I have, was whether have you got any, and B, would you recommend getting IT qualifications in, be it the PC repair business that you used to do / still do, versus anything else?
Yeah, look, I think I did get a qualification in the 90s, a diploma in PC repair. So I was interested enough to do that. That's sort of a bit old by now, and I did bring a prop with me for this, and I can show you. Do we do video or just audio?
No, we do both. So the prop is perfect for those who are watching on the video.
I've got one of these from when I was doing my diploma, the upgrading and repairing PCs. Now I remember going to the shop to buy this. I don't know what year this one was in, but look at the thickness of
It's
it.
like a phone book.
Oh, I know.
I was doing that the other day. I had to move desks at work, and I was going through my little bookcase of reference material, and I had a Microsoft Access 2000 and an Access 2003 manual, and I went, I think it's time.
Yeah.
I think it's time.
Yes. Well, look, I bought more props. I bought a lot of props. I bought my Windows 98 install disk.
Oh, nice.
I thought I'll go back in time. I bought my Windows 95. I remember buying that from Harvey Norman. I lined up for that. And going back further,
And they would have been playing lots of Rolling Stones Start Me Up as you went in.
Probably. That's right. That was a weird video. I got me DOS, and I got me Windows 3.1 floppies.
Wow.
So,
You know, floppy disks are worth a fortune these days.
what, to buy blank?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, I didn't know that. Jeez. I think I threw a few out.
We've hit that no one uses them, so we got the up curve going.
Yes, right, yes. Yeah, I remember when I worked at the bank, they had a server in each branch, and one day the guy pulled out the disc, and it wasn't a 5 1/4, it was one of those 8 1/4s or whatever.
Oh, wow.
It's just huge. But yeah, tech's changed over time. But yeah, look, I think it's just learning. I think what I do now, would I get to do another course? There's just, what do you do? What course do you do? I've signed up to those videos from, is it IT Pro?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I don't probably foresee myself doing the exams to be paper qualified, but yeah, those videos help you along. You get self-qualified, and you know, if you work for yourself, you don't need a piece of paper to say you can do it. Yeah, I'm happy enough just to learn myself, and if I need help, I've got a network, I guess, that I can access overseas. Like some, like I've vetted a few people, and you got to pay them, but they'll help me with some major issues if I ever come across them.
Yep.
The good thing is that you stay in practice of it, and I think that helps. I mean, I'm a Mac person these days, and the benefit of a Mac is that you take it out of the box, you plug it in, and it works. However, recently, even just at the NUC level, I bought a NUC that I'm using for the podcast, and I've been so out of building PCs for a while that I'm like, I had to learn what an M2 drive and the difference between, SATA, and the differences in between the drives between SATA and the NVMe, I think it is, or whatever it is. I'm just like, the PCIe, and I'm just like,
Yes.
wow, I've just been out of this. It's only been about 3 years since I built 3 or 4 years since I built a PC, but I'm just completely have to upskill.
Yeah, that's right. I think even building PCs, also I sort of shy away from building PCs because it's time consuming.
Yeah.
And there's just no money in it. Like you can go
It's cheaper
down,
to go and buy a Dell,
yeah, you can, well, even you can go down to your local, if you want one built, you go down to MSY. I don't know if you guys have got those, or Umarts. And like, seriously, I can't buy and assemble a computer for any cheaper than what they can do.
Oh, of course.
My wholesaler. And
I live in MSY, the motherland, because I have the head office literally about 5-minute drive from my house, the nation head office. That's where their ACCC issues go to and everything. I won't. All the
no,
I
that's why
won't
I
say
got
that.
rid of
I'm
the
joking.
Yeah, the ACCC notice off their webpage. I was happy to see. Yes, but yeah, you're right. So you, like, if someone wants a computer, I either tell them to go down and get their own, or I say you charge them for your time, or yeah, you go and buy a Dell. I can wholesale Dells, and whatever. Yeah, there's no money in it. And repairs, I look in the back of the paper. There's still such a thing. And you see people doing these PC repairs, and I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they're advertising $30 an hour, and you think, are these just kids, out of school, or why are they $30 an hour? You can't compete with that sort of stuff, and you don't try to, because otherwise you'd never, you wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
So so hopefully you just got to bank on your service, your knowledge, and your personality, and hopefully that'll get you through and get you more customers.
Do you, when you're doing PC repairs, do you find that these days, with the proliferation of cloud services and backups and things like that, which we know people are not always perfect at. But is it like a lot of the time repairs were based around recovering information? They didn't want to lose what they had. Is it is it dropping off because of these type of services?
No, not really. I think there's
or people just don't understand what's available to them.
Yeah, they don't want to know about PC issues until they got one.
Yeah,
they don't want to know about losing files until they've lost them. And as much as you can try and tell, I mainly concentrate on residential repairs. Yep. I do have a few business clients, and they don't want to take your advice. Like I've got one client that got really easy passwords, and I said, you should change these. You'll get hacked. You should change these. And he just doesn't. He goes, well, I can remember this, and I'm not going to change it. Whatever. And well, sure enough, his emails did get hacked. But like he's got the same password on his server and everything. And well, if people really wanted to, target you, I'm sure they'd be able to get into this thing. And he's been affected by the ransomware viruses and all this sort of stuff. And after the ransomware, he did decide to start backing up. But yes, he does back up to the cloud now, because I made him. That's right. I found a crash plan.
The other one that I've seen recently as well that could be a area of expertise for you is filling out reports for cyber insurance. Because people they're having to go to their IT provider to fill out a form to get the claim back on losses and damages due to cyber insurance and
right.
Coverage on that.
Yeah, so I wonder, I've never done one of those, but I'm just wondering, I wonder what sort of questions or what sort of responses the insurance company's after. I wonder if they're saying, does he have weak passwords? Do you have to go, yes or no?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Out of all the software I've bought in the last, couple of years, Password Manager was the best thing I've ever purchased.
Yes. Yeah. I used the LastPass, and that's good. I think if you just make strong passwords, you're right. But I was talking to a guy yesterday who ran a cybersecurity threat protection business, and he does he'll go out to businesses for $500, and he will just try and penetrate their systems and give them a report and say what's weak, what's strong, and whatnot. And then either you commission him to go further and tighten the loose bits up, or you just take the report, read it, and file it. Whatever, it's up to you. But yeah, there's people out there that will do health checks on your security. Yeah, because you can download this Kali Linux with all the scripts in it to penetrate whatever you want to do. And kids have got access to this as well, and that's why there's so much stuff out there. You got to really, tighten yourself up, and weak passwords is a big problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the one that I find, and this is I know this sounds like petty semantic stuff, but there's a organisation I'm involved in, and people don't want to have a second email address because they can't handle managing more than one. And I'm like, it's almost, you should have more than one, because you have a crap one. Like you have one that you type in as your login for these crap sites, and what have you, so that it actually helps separate, the stuff and that, because they don't get that it's the crap site that gets hacked, but they use the same credentials to try and get into the good stuff.
Well, that's right. And just going back to this guy that I was talking about before, that's how his emails were hacked, because he had his emails hosted on my server. And although I've got a 3 strikes, wrong password, you're off sort of thing, which is a security measure, that somehow they've got in and was sending spam from his account. And so what had happened was the question was raised, well, I thought your system was secure, blah, blah, blah. And I went, well, they've obviously guessed your password, or they've done something. But I did a bit of digging around, and what I'd found is went to that website, Have I Been Pwned?
Yep.
And typed his email address there. Sure enough, there it was. It was up on, he'd been, so it was a third party site he'd signed up to, and that third party site had been hacked. So it might not just be Tyre Joe's tyre service down the road that he signed up to. It could be Sony. Remember that Sony's been hacked. Yahoo's.
Of course.
These guys get in, they get all the email addresses and passwords, and then they put them on the the dark web or whatever you call it, and then sell it to all the spammers. And that's, I reckon, what's happened to him, because someone's come in, correct password, bang, straight through. And he's changed it now. He's got a real good one.
You've done well, Glenn. You've done well.
Thank you.
In terms of, I suppose, changing topic again, you're looking particularly at the podcast network. You've okay. Let's start that again, because I've just touched on something that we've gone wider on. So you've got your Aussie Tech Heads podcast, and you do a video version of that as well. You've expanded that into a podcast network. How did that come about, and how has that grown?
Yeah, well, I guess, like in the early days, I wanted to try and create some type of network, to like strengthen numbers, so to speak. When you go to look for sponsorships or whatever. And as time went on, you've got Shayne and yourself and Michael, and he does the Aussie Mac Zone, and I don't know, they just want to try and, again, I guess strength in numbers, stick together. Like, why not? We all cross promote each other's shows.
Absolutely.
It just works a little bit better, I think. And I know one of the other questions you're asking about sponsorships and stuff, and just to go further on that, like it is hard, and at some stages I thought I probably should do more about that sort of stuff. They're just to try and pay for hosting and pay for time, pay for things, But look, I went full on one time. I went to a couple of industry events and handed out cards, got to talk to everyone that was there, handed business cards out, sent them an email, the next day. They were all pretty keen to do something with the podcast, and just, they didn't even bother responding. Just not one, not one. And that was out of, like, I had 50. And I just thought, you know what? Okay, this is just a hobby. And, we'll move on to something else.
And I think the hard thing is looking at it from, even the stuff that I do with my other show, the podcast market is so saturated these days.
Yeah.
And to get somewhere where you could, make reasonable money out of it, whether it be to cover your costs or even a bit of coin in the pocket, you've almost got to be going through, a Hamish and Andy or something like that.
Right.
Which, it's great for podcasting in general because it gets more people on the platform, but it also kills a bit of vibe too.
Yeah, well, you look at the top 10, top 20 podcasts on iTunes. It's all companies. It's not. It's all ABC, Channel 9, or Triple M. It's not like it used to be. Just single home podcasters. It's all changed now, and I guess that just makes it harder for us to try and get noticed. But I guess you get your own little following, and we're not
absolutely.
We're not commercial, and that benefits our listeners in a way, because we've got maybe looser rules that we can work within, and we're not bound by certain regulations or whatever. But look, it makes it harder to do anything. So you just got to think, it's a hobby. That's all it is.
Speaking of like size of an audience and all that kind of stuff, you said earlier on kind of what the motivation was to get the thing running in the first place was Leo Laporte and his Call for Help show, and the fact that all his stuff seems to be very US-centric. But at the same time, you probably still look at, like we all do, look at him as some sort of measuring stick as to size of audience, all that kind of stuff. He's in a good position in the fact that he's in America where the population's huge. He came from a radio background where he also had a following, and I'm guessing a lot of his audience transitioned across. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
From our point of view, we probably look to Aussie Tech Heads as a measuring stick. Just as in how you do it, as well as size of audience, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, don't give away trade secrets if you don't want to. But do you ballpark figure? What is the size of your audience? How many downloads do you have? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so we go on different platforms. So the audio and the video. Audio is by far the biggest platform. We go into the Aussie Tech Radio. Just a jumble of all the Australian podcasts that want to be a part of that. That goes in there, and you can find that on AussieTechRadio.com. And I guess overall, we're probably maybe say per month we probably across all platforms maybe 10,000 a month.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah. So that break that down to 2,000 a week, I guess. So
That's good.
it's not like big numbers, I don't think, but like for something that's just thrown together every once a week, and we're not getting paid to do it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'd like it to be bigger.
So was that do you know whether that was a gradual increase, or was it kind of stagnant and then all of a sudden something happened at some point and then it kind of shot up? Or
It's probably a stagnant increase, I guess. It's probably maintained its stability at the moment for the last little while. And you do sit down, you think, maybe how do we increase this? Do we need to change something? The biggest challenge, I guess, is like everyone's doing this for free. So you can't really say to people, or the other co-hosts or whatever, you can't really say to them, I want you to do it this way. I want you to do this. I want you to be more into this. You know what I mean? Like, spend more time doing this. Spend more time doing that. Like, everyone's doing it for free. We're just doing our best. So I'll give them a leeway of that's just how it is, Anyone can come on. They want to talk about anything. Yeah, I'm pretty loose with the show.
And I think that the tech genre in Australia is still relatively niche compared to, you're looking at, there's where we mentioned Hamish and Andy, but you look at something like Team Effort with Tony Martin and Ed Cavalier. They've just done some live shows where they would earn some money from people paying to get into those.
Right.
I don't think that a lot of people are going to pay to go and see, whether it be, in my case, Geeks Interrupted or My Tech Opinion, and this is no denigration of the product,
no.
But the Aussie Tech Heads, a live show of that type of thing. It doesn't translate into that sort of environment.
No, well, I think the Hamish and Andy, or who were you just talking about?
There's Team Effort with Tony Martin and Ed Cavalier and Lockie Hume and things like that.
So they're sort of bringing their previous
absolutely
into it, and I guess their radio and all that, and maybe that's the pathway that you need to take. Maybe you need to start off commercially, get known, and then move into the podcasting. I don't know, but. Yeah.
Well, as I knock my microphone, look, it's going to be interesting. It's an interesting world. I think that the great thing about podcasting is that you really don't need a lot to get going. You need a microphone and something to record with, and that said, like Aussie Tech Heads, is it sounds really good, and I think that we sound reasonably good. On this show, Geeks Interrupted, we do from a radio studio, so that has a different element to it as well. But I think people need to self-assess as well. I think that's part of it. I think I'm involved in a radio station, and I had someone tell me that other than the show that they produce, they don't listen to radio, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
really. Where's the self-improvement on that? So
yeah, I think yes. Like as with probably everyone, like starting back in 2006, I found it really hard to get help or to find how to bed down good audio. That was my hardest. That was the biggest challenge. I bought microphones. I did this and did that. I bought lapel microphones, and obviously just buying the wrong things. Like every time you touch your shirt, the wire from the lapel mic, you'd hear that through the audio. And so
and the other side of it is, I think that things have changed in a sense of how much the ability to get good quality has changed. So from a radio perspective, 10 years ago we started doing outside broadcasts, and the equipment that we needed to get a signal back to the radio station, we spent $15,000 on. And I can buy equipment from the same company now for about $3,000, and this is broadcast quality gear. And if you're doing it like what we're doing here on a fast internet connection, it's basically free. So that's where I think it's democratized that in and allowing people from different geographic regions to put stuff together and things like that.
Well, I think even like these days, a webcam has got a good enough microphone on it if you really want it.
Absolutely.
It was just like, I don't know. I think you can still listen to our episode 1. That's up on the internet somewhere. And, it was scratchy. It was hard. We were using Audacity, the Windows, I think Mac anyway, the Audacity to record. And then every now and then that would fall over. And then I couldn't piece it back together because it wasn't saved. And then that's when I moved into a Mac. So I'm sort of opposite to you. I've got a Mac to record, but I don't use for anything else. I use Windows for everything else. So my Mac will record the audio. And just in case, say, if I lost power, you'd boot the Mac back up and it's still there. It's like GarageBand is sort of saved where you were.
So that's good.
Yeah, and it was just an easier thing to do. And then video created another challenge. But, and then Facebook Live, that's still a challenge because I haven't got fast enough internet to stream it. Even though I've got 2.5 up, still not fast enough. So technology still isn't there. One of the other guys, he will just screen capture the video and then stream it from his place. Which is the end. So you're working around it, and but there's a lot of you do. You look at other people and try and improve and try and match the quality for sure. Someone will come in and say to us every now and then, "Oh, your audio was rubbish," and you sit there and go, "Well, yeah, I did hear that little twing in the back there, and that's what he's talking about." But you try and you fix it up. You try and fix it up. You hear an echo. You try and fix it up. There's lots of things go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. What else are we going to ask, Shayne?
The other question that I wanted to kind of ask you, because you were dancing around the topic anyway. Yeah, you said you started in 2006 and it was pretty tough, and technology obviously was different then. I'll probably combine 2 questions. A, how have things kind of changed from episode 1 to episode 600? And B, how do you stay motivated to kind of do the same thing week after week after week and not get paid?
That's probably part B's probably a good question. I don't know. Maybe it's just habit. Maybe it's what I do now after 12 years. So things have changed since episode 1. Audio quality's changed. Internet speeds have changed, which helps the, say, post-production. I don't do much editing at all. The audio will, stuff just doesn't get edited because it's just all time. And I'm conscious that, it's time consuming. I've got to try and do everything in the one sitting. Otherwise, I find it hard to get it all up and out. The only thing I will edit is if someone, for some reason, swears. I don't want swearing to go out on the audio.
Not to mention anyone's name, Eric.
Yeah, but I'll let it go out on the video. That's, I think, because, I want the show to be family friendly, and a lot of people have commented that, they do listen to us, in front of their family or, on their Google Mini or whatever they've got going. And they do appreciate that we're not, every second word's not swearing, because, that anyone can do a swearing podcast, but we try to just, I don't know, just a bit more professional, a bit more mature, maybe.
A bit more classy.
Yes. But motivation, I don't know. I think it's, I've got the other guys that are there each week. So it's a hobby. It's, you like doing what you like doing, whether it's building model planes or whatever. If you like doing it, you do it. Sometimes it gets you think, oh, I've got a podcast, I'll be tired tonight or whatever. But, you just dig in, and if I've got something else on, well, luckily now we've got over the years, we've had people come on like you, Shayne, and Will and Jace and all that. So if I can't make it, we've got a bit of a bench of podcasts that can step up, and they say, yeah, okay, we'll do a one-off for you, while you go and do your kids' show or whatever. So, but look, it's, I'm interested in tech, so reading the tech stories of the week, that's an interest, and it takes me, say, an hour to record the show. The most time-consuming part is probably just the prep, reading the stories, and post-producing and uploading. That's probably the biggest. The actual talking part is probably the easiest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, what stories do we do? I've sort of just said to the guys, just whatever you're interested in. Like you bring along Joe's interested in gadgets, so he'll bring a lot of gadget stories, to the show. Jordan's interested in mobile phones and different things. He'd be interested in different things that I'm into. My stories, you probably noticed, more relate around business type of stories. I think from looking back at what I talk about, I'll talk about Amazon hitting $1 trillion value, Apple hitting $1 trillion value, and things like that. And because that's, I just want to see where things are going in that space. So I think everyone brings their different stories to the table, and yeah, it's sort of works. I hope it works.
I think that might be it, because back when I was on the show, oodles ago, I know for me, I was focusing too much on the stories that I was bringing to the show, and getting the content of the story right and making sure I kind of knew about the story, but about what they were talking about, but only from the angle of the story. Whereas now with Phil and I, we have a segment where we'll talk about the stories of the week, but it's not, and we might point people to a particular article, but for me, I can now talk about the stories like, the Amazon thing hitting $1 trillion, not because I'm reading one article, but because over that week I've heard, 2 or 3 people talk about it on TV shows or on other podcasts, or it's hit the news, and it's more just gathering my thoughts in my head and summarising whatever it is, that I've learnt, rather than trying to regurgitate a particular story.
Yeah, like I'll read a story and I think, I'm interested in that. I'll put that one in the show notes, and then I'll read part of it and I don't really understand that. Then I'll go off and read something else to try and understand what they've talked about. And then if the story gets too involved or too complicated, I just leave it. Boring stories, I don't like really talking about telcos. I find that pretty boring. Or the head of this company has left and now he heads up this company. That's boring. So I don't do that. I'll drop a story in favour of an Australian slanted story for sure. I'd wish that the whole show could be Australian stories that are of interest, but sometimes that just can't happen, and everyone else is interested in the latest Windows 10 and Mac OS and iPhones and Androids and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's not, unlike, say, your segment where you deep dive into some of the topics, we're just on the surface, just commentary on the surface of the story, just to let people know what's out there, what's in the news this week. Yeah, nothing too heavy, and seems to work for everyone. They love it. That people bring me up and they come past the Gold Coast. They say, "Do you want to hook up?" I go, "Yeah, why not?" So I'll go and have a chat with them. Go down and have a coffee or something. So if you're ever around, do that. I'm more than happy. I've got some time. I'm more than happy to come and have a coffee.
I'll be there in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, is that for Microsoft thing?
No, I'm just I'm doing a week in Melbourne because I'm going to some stupid football game. And then for the second week, I was going to come spend the best part of a week on the Gold Coast and catch up with you and a couple of other people and
that's what I remember now.
Just relaxing.
Cool. Well, you better send me those dates if you want a coffee.
Yeah,
I'll be here though. I don't do nothing else.
One of the days I'll actually be on the Gold Coast will be my birthday.
Right.
Just put it out there.
He's just hinting to you, Glenn.
Right. I'll buy you a bit of toast with that coffee then.
Fair enough.
There you go.
Another question. Feel free to butt in whenever you're ready, Phil.
No.
But just on the hosts and the co-hosts, that you've had a plethora of people over the years, and I've obviously gone on to do my own thing. Jason and Will have gone on to do their own thing, and I don't know if there's any stats behind the claim that they make, but they're the self-proclaimed best podcasters in Australia.
Well, they did a survey of 2 people, Will and Jason, and they came up trumps. Who are we to argue with such a survey?
Exactly. But how do you? Is there some sort of criteria, or is there something that you look for in the host? Luckily in my case, if there is a criteria, I wasn't that high, because otherwise you probably wouldn't have given me a go.
Oh no, you were really good. You were great, and you did those Twitter interviews, which were excellent. I guess you've got to have a decent microphone. Can't be an inbuilt microphone. You've got to have a camera so we can do the video. You've got to have a decent internet connection. It's just got to sound good. As long as you can sound good, you can string 2 words together. I'm happy with that. Yeah, and get you on. If it's, we'll give you a chance. Like if you're first time on, you're obviously going to be a bit nervous and all that, but we push through that. And if you've got the interest, like I'm just happy for people that have, have got the will to want to do it. Like that's great. Like there was a time, where Will went off with his family, so he had trouble getting onto the show at a particular time when we record. So Jason and I decided to look for a third person, and we found a third person, and we're more than happy to, nurture them in, so to speak. And if they've got the will, like, gee, that's good enough for us. Again, like no one's getting paid, so that we're just going on the love of it. And if they've got the love to do it, well, that's great for me. As long as everything else fits in, the audio, video, and the internet, as long as all that's good, you got the love of it, great. And
hang on. You're telling me we don't get paid for this, Shayne? I think you owe me some money.
Yeah,
surprise!
The checks in the mail.
Sorry, Shayne, I blew it. I've let the cat out of the bag.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, I mean, when you said
Trust
earlier
Trust me, I've been doing community radio for 20 years. Yeah, it costs me money.
Yes, yeah, but it's good. It gives you other things. Obviously, you like doing it.
Absolutely.
A fulfillment of some sort. So yeah, so it's good, and you're very professional at it. So you've honed your skills with it. So it's great.
No, I hope so. Yeah. Maybe.
But yeah, we just put the call out for people that want to come on, and luckily, thankfully, people out there, they listen. They go, yeah, I'll give that a shot. So everyone I've met, apart from Mark, back in the early days. So Eric, Shayne, Will, Jace, Jordan, Joe. There was a Stephen used to come on. There was Reg used to come on.
Another Jason.
Yeah, that's right. All these guys have just contacted me through the podcast. They emailed me and said, "Yeah, let's have a go." So it's been great. Yeah, like everyone I've met that's on the show, I've met through the podcast. That's
awesome.
Cool. Now, the other things that you kind of touched on, you've mentioned your Mac Mini, you've mentioned the software that you use and microphones and that kind of stuff. Do you want to, obviously not necessarily, I mean, if it's easy enough, you can give us a visual kind of go around, but did you want to give us a summary of the equipment and the software that you use to put the show together?
Yeah, so it's probably a bit hard to do a visual, but I can just tell you, because otherwise I will if you like, but it's going to be camera's going to go wonky.
No.
Yeah, so the Mac Mini I brought into the mix just to record the audio. So I've got the audio was the most important. I was having a lot of trouble with audio, being scratchy, being mixed down was no good. So I really concentrated on getting the audio correct. And I think as long as the host has got good audio, like the other people on Skype and whatever could be a little bit scratchy, but as long as the host has good audio, that's I think is all that is really required. It's just as long as the listener can hear, oh yeah, that's good audio at least from someone. I can forgive the other person that's remote. That's fine. So I'll record on the Apple Mac Mini and through GarageBand. On the PC, I'll record it through the Wirecast, because the PC Wirecast is the video switching recording software. So I'll record it also through the Wirecast through the PC. So that's the video portion. I've got a interface for the Mac, like a PreSonus Fire Studio mobile Firewire interface. The mic plugs into that, goes into the Mac. So the reason I got the interface was so on GarageBand, I was finding sometimes you'd ring someone on Skype and they'd be a lot lower than you, and maybe had 3 people on, and so then the other 2 that were remote, they're on the same channel, and that one might be loud, one might be soft, and you can't really do too much to that because they're on the same channel. So I got this thing, because GarageBand can split different channels. So there's me and then the remote channel, and I can move the remote channel up and down, which hopefully tries to match the audio. And I've just got a normal mixer, which just everything plugs into the computer and back again. Other software, I guess, I've got an RSS creator software. If you know what that is. So all the podcasts work with the RSS feeds.
So you still hosting your podcast on your site?
No, the audio, because that was one of the challenges back in the early days I faced, was I was uploading my podcast to my web server.
Yeah,
like say the Venture IP host, but people are only getting half of it. And I kept getting complaints. I'm only getting half of this, or I'm getting 3/4 of it. That was doing my head in. Like, why? And it just turned out that because I was hosting it on the Ventra, then because the download was 60 meg or something, then the PHP or whatever, that would just time out in the download for some reason, and that's why it was doing that. So that was just a nightmare for ages, and you can't. Back then, you couldn't talk to anyone. No one was doing podcasting. They're going, well, we don't know what we're talking about. So, but now I use archive.org.
Yep.
The free, you can just chuck up anything there for free. It's awesome. It's awesome. So I do my own RSS feeds. I do a video for YouTube, a video for iTunes, and the audio. Yeah. But other software, that's about it, I think. Not too much else. Zoom for the conferencing, video conferencing.
Which is where we're on Zoom at the moment too, which is good.
Yeah, that's not a bad little platform. We've been through a lot of platforms: Skype, Zoom, Uvu, Hangouts. You name it, we've probably been through it. Zoom's been really stable, and then we've stuck with Zoom, so it's good.
It's good.
Yeah, but that's about it for software, I think.
I don't know what else. Don't know where I was going to head to. Shane, have you got anything to throw in? So I think we've almost covered everything.
Yeah. I'm just looking through the questions. The only other question that I wanted more kind of clarification on, I guess, is you refer to the network, and in my mind that includes Aussie Tech Heads, Aussie Mac Zone, the crypto, My Tech Opinion. But then you've got more shows that are on the Aussie Tech Heads radio. You've got Geeks Interrupted. You've got the Trevor Long shows. You've got you had a whole bunch of New Zealand shows which seem to have dropped off.
I think they faded.
Okay. So do you include them as part of the network, or are they kind of outside the network? Or
no, those are outside the network. Yeah, they're just the Aussie Tech Radio is just something that's there again, just a hobby. Like I pay for it. It's just something where. What it is it's like a radio, so you can tune in at any stage, and wherever the show reel is up to, that's where you join in at. So I just decide, well, okay, let's try and, I guess, promote Australian podcasting a bit more. Let's try and get it more accessible. So I wrote to Geeks Interrupted, I wrote to Trevor Long and said, hey, can we rebroadcast your show on this platform? And they kindly said, yes, go for your life, and which is hopefully a win-win situation as well. So
absolutely.
So it's good, and that's just how that sort of works. These shows keep their independence, of course. I don't want to encroach at all on what they're doing at all. Like that they're the Geeks Interrupted, Trevor Long. That's all. Yeah, they retain their own copyright, everything. Yeah, I just want to rebroadcast for the Aussie Tech Radio.
Cool.
Yeah, great. No, and we look from a Geeks Interrupted perspective, we appreciate it as well. So,
Cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, so hopefully, I don't know if you probably don't get feedback about. I heard you on the Aussie Tech Radio. I don't think.
The funny thing is, and I'm sure that we've had a couple through here. You'd find it yourself is that sometimes you go. Like there's people who regularly email in and put questions to you or make comment and things like that. And then occasionally one completely comes out of left field that you go, oh, wow, that's a new name or, a new listener that we haven't seen before, but they've been like, no, I've been listening for ages and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and where people listen to you is another thing that's me out. Like some guys say, I listen to you in the crane. I listen to you while I'm driving the bus. I'm thinking, oh, geez, watch the road, or listen to me to as well going to sleep, and all this sort of stuff. It's just amazing. It's where people see you, and
And I think from the radio station perspective, the one that I had that was freaking me out a little bit because I think I had my own coin bankrolling it. But a couple of years ago, we did a Star Wars screening at midnight when it first released, and I decided to, some weird reason, hire out a 230-seat cinema and see if I can fill it. But I bankrolled it to say that, if we didn't get the people, then it was my money.
Yeah.
And we filled it.
Good.
And as a Geeks Interrupted thing, so, they came out.
Yeah, well, that's good. But would you say that you would find that because you are on the radio, that you would have a larger following than if it was just a podcast?
No, we get majority of our listeners on podcast.
Right.
Because I think the radio has an element of recognition, which is great, because then we get into a bit of community radio sphere.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that, I've looked at this live streaming stats. I mean, we can't tell on the radio perspective, but from the live streaming stats, we certainly get more listeners on our podcast.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's good.
Because it creates that anytime.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
The commute listen or in the car type thing. So
yeah, like with the Aussie Tech Radio, there's not too many stats that I can get out of that. There's a couple. The main stat I just get out of is it seems to be serving more and more gig every month. So I guess it's growing. So it's good. That's pretty much the only stat I can get out of that thing.
Yeah, and look, it's and you can average that over what you get and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and it was a bit hard for Geeks Interrupted because we had stats going through with Apple, but then of course they decided to change how they added extra reports in and things like that. But for us to get it the way we wanted to, we had to sign up for a new account,
right?
Because it was against one of our guys' personal accounts.
Oh, yes.
So we're like, we'll sign up for a new account. So we basically reset the clock. So it's interesting.
Yeah, because I think I used to go through that feed for all from Google. I think Google brought it out. Feedburner. Yeah, Feedburner. Yeah, and although I didn't know how trustworthy that was really in the stats department, but it's something to go on. I think I just upload now. Do you guys use the Whooshka?
Yes, we do.
And I think that's just as good as anything, for stats wise. I'll just go off that.
Yeah, and look at podcasting. I think podcasting is one of its, and we might have talked about this, Shayne, on our podcasting episode a while ago. Podcasting is one of those things that its relative primitiveness is its greatest asset, in the sense that, particularly back in the day, as you've done, you load it onto a web server and it's there for people to access. However, now that people are going, particularly, stuff out of the US, they're going, we need to find stats on this because we've got to make money and support our advertisers and all this sort of thing. Apple have got stuff, Whooshka in our case have got things, and they give you a level of stat, but because it's a democratic type tool, it's not accurate. Whereas, you look at something like Instagram have gone, we're not having any APIs. If you want to access Instagram, you have to access it off our app.
Yes.
And so that the level of statistics you can get from them are quite substantial. But, it's a closed shop, whereas podcasting is a great opportunity. It's the new community radio in some sort of aspects.
Yeah. I just look at the Whooshka and I'll go with those stats because that's where the actual that's where the podcast is being served from. So Apple stats are only going to give you Apple users.
Of course.
So yeah, like Spotify. I think we got onto the Spotify network as well. So that was interesting. We got contacted early in the piece because we won the Australian Podcast Awards. Was it some award for them? The Listener Award or the Public Opinion Award or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, best tech podcast in 2017. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it, but anyway, Spotify contacted us and said, well, we'd like you on the Spotify. So while you're on Spotify, you can search for us and find us.
The only award Geeks Interrupted's been nominated for, we got nominated for Lizzie one year. And I went to Sydney, went to the awards ceremony, and we were talking to people, and they're like, the full-time journalists were like, oh, so you're a podcaster then, are you? I'm like, oh, great. Thanks.
One of those, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that has changed as well. I remember when I first started, every time you said to someone, oh, yeah, I do a podcast, they go, what? But nowadays, everyone pretty knows what a podcast is. So that's a big thing that's changed, the recognition of what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think we might start wrapping up our feature topic. So we've talked to Glenn about his business, of course, and hosting. So AussieTechHeads.com.au, which people can see at the bottom of the screen, which I'll point down like that because I was going to point forward and that doesn't work when you're doing the video. And then you've got Blue Ocean, which has that launched yet, Glenn?
No, it's hopefully, what are we in September? Hopefully the end of the month.
There you go. So visit AussieTechHeads.com.au and you'll be able to find stuff on the web hosting, which of course athwebhosting.com.au sponsors our program because we get to use your stuff, which is awesome.
Sure.
So thank you. And so there's that. And of course, there's the Aussie Tech Heads podcast. There's all the things that you're involved with. You can find Glenn at those things, but head to AussieTechHeads.com.au.
Yep, that'll take you to everywhere.
Excellent.
Landing page. That's right.
Well, we're going to wrap up our feature topic, but Glenn Goodman, thank you very much for joining us, and we appreciate you being part of the show.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Glenn.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more in a moment on My Tech Opinion. And welcome back to My Tech Opinion. It's time to finish off the show. That was a really good chat we had with Glenn there, wasn't it, Shayne?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was actually, I got a lot of insights of how the things put together and the thought process. Because I mean, as I touched on, I was a co-host back in the day around 2010ish, and I just rocked up and said my bit, and then disappeared for a week. And the next Thursday, I came back and said my bit. I didn't really have an understanding or appreciation of how it all kind of was put together.
Absolutely. And and it was quite a wide-ranging discussion, whether it be talking about his individual business or the podcast and the network and the radio and all that sort of thing, which is good. It's been great.
Happy.
If you've got any suggestions for future topics, feel free to send us an email, mytechopinion@prosumerit.com, or if you've got a suggestion for a guest that we can talk to and have a discussion like we did with Glenn. Have we decided on our next topic? Because I forgot to even talk to you about that, Shayne, before we came back from our break.
I threw a couple of things around. I think I said something about backups, sort of from a covering it from your home kind of environment up through to your enterprise environment. So we could definitely do that. The other thing is our next episode. The hosting lineup might be different. That's
right. I'm away for a weekend next week, so we're hoping that if all goes well, that we will have a guest host in the chair, and we will be going from there.
Cool. So it'll either be the backup thing, or if we get a guest host, it might just be a kind of a free for all. It could be a free for all. So we'll see what happens. Yep. So yes. I'm still half asleep, and I'm still trying to work out exactly who we've got coming in, because I've spoken to the person, and then we need to be worked out if they can be released on day release from prison. Okay. And then they should be okay. So we'll confirm that. No, I'm joking about the prison. No, they're confirming with me. So we'll have a topic. Most likely backups is what our next topic, episode 25, will be. And some of the differences, whether you back up locally or to the cloud, are your options as well, plus many other things as well. Yep. So there you go. Remember, athwebhosting.com.au for great hosting plans and support. Aussie Tech Heads web hosting support our show by getting us part of the network and getting us, we use Zoom accounts and hosting and all that sort of stuff. So thank you very much to them. Make sure you visit them, or a new business which will be part of the Aussie Tech Heads stable coming soon, and you'll find out more about that at the end of the month. So Glenn went through all that for us as well. We would like to hear from you, though. mytechopinion@prosumerit.com for any suggestions or ideas or insults. We would appreciate it. And remember to leave a review on the Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to your podcast, because getting us a review pushes it up in the listings, and it's an opportunity for other people to find the program as well. Because as we talked about in the show, Shayne, it's a big world of podcasts out there, and it's hard to get noticed sometimes. And we do, we have a bit of egotistical aspect about it,
and we want people to listen to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to our ramblings of nonsense.
There's enough time in the week for you to listen to us, listen to the Aussie Tech Heads family of podcasts, listen to Aussie Geeks Interrupted.
Absolutely. Make sure you listen to all of them.
Yep.
The commute's the perfect time.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, we're going to finish it up. We'll be back with another episode 25, our quarter of a century episode, which I will not be here for. We can all cry now. And we'll see you all next time on My Tech Opinion. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.